Welkom bij het webinar Hoe kan ik mijn processen effectief managen met Omnia?
So today I'm going to talk a little bit then about managing processes, and we're going to do this based on the Microsoft stack. So we're going to talk a little bit about SharePoint and Teams, and also then Omnia. And actually what I'm going to show you today is actually based on a customer case. So this is based on a sweets and candy producing company that are active in with production in 8 countries, and they have sales in 50 countries, about 2,500 employees. So the agenda for this section is that I will give a brief introduction to the customer case. Then we will look at visualizing processes, how we can structure and organize that. Also connecting various types of information to the processes. And after that, we will do a little demo, a live demo, regarding sort of how to work with processes and also how to work with improvements. So the solution I'm going to show you have been anonymized, since I'm not allowed to show sort of the real customer solution, but everything that you will see today is sort of a mirrored image from what we did for this company. So first of all, then, regarding the customer case, I already mentioned what line of business this customer is in and also the size. But I would say then that when we started discussing with this company, they had already been working with trying to sort of organize and be effective when it comes to process orientation. So they already had this initiative with sort of driving and improving processes. They did sort of re-energize that initiative when they started the discussion with us. And this image here is actually the from sort of the discussions that we had. So the text here is actually from one of the customer slides. So they wanted to implement best practices. They wanted to do this to improve product and service quality, productivity, and some other benefits. And that was, of course, to be sort of focused on also then achieving their business goals. So nothing really strange here, I would think. So this is sort of the background. The solution overview, what they were looking for was then a solution where you can define processes, where you can set out this recommended way of working from a main process, and then sort of by having clickable processes and define how different interrelated parts of the business is sort of structured in relation to each other. So then you could sort of drill down, use the processes for navigation, but also then, and very important, of course, every process here they wanted to have a clear definition on. So I mean, if we simplify it, we can say that this is a card or a page on a process. So here we should be able to see the process and its activities. We should have a clear ownership of the process, and also then they wanted to connect different types of information that were available within the organization to each process. So that could be, of course, a description of the process, a list of tasks for each phase or activity. That could be instructions or other controlled documents. That could also be tools and various courses that they had internally. So that is the solution then, this process card or page here that we're going to follow up in the next section here when we talk a little bit about visualizing processes. So when we talk about processes, we will do this from 3 different perspectives. And I thought it would be good to begin here with end users and end user perspective. And then we'll come back to administrators and also process owners. So if I'm an end user, excuse me, if I'm an end user and I just arrived here at the intranet start page, so this solution that we're going to talk about is very much integrated with the intranet, and I think that that's a good idea when it comes to sort of the end user perspective. So here you can, of course, then navigate, and in this case, they have this sort of one section within their intranet that is named How We Work. So the content that you can see on this page here is all related to sort of trying to be as efficient and productive as possible. So in this case, you can also then see that within this company, they had several organizations, several separate organizations. So in this case, I have illustrated that with sort of the group level and also then 3 subsidiaries here. And we're going to navigate into one of them. And as you can see here, this is no longer a sweets and candy producer, but a bikes producer. So that is not really important, just want to mention it. So then when we come into sort of one company, one organization, the structure here then is obviously from the main process. So this is what we do within this company, but we can also then use this map for navigation. So we've now entered the process develop product, and as you can see, this would indicate that I can navigate further into the process develop product. That is the project model for how to drive product development projects. So the process here is, as you can see, divided into several activities. And there's also a possibility, of course, to sort of study each activity here. So on this page, then we can see the description of the process, or in this case, this envisioning activity. And you can also see some information to the right here. So first of all, then you can see that we have the process owner clearly displayed here. So by clicking the name here, I can get more information about the process owner and also contact this person using chat or Teams call directly from that card. Here you can also see this is an accordion, so you can see the arrows here. Oh, sorry. You can see the arrows here that I can sort of expand each section here to look at related information. So if we study that a little bit more, what we will find there is then important documents like instructions, procedures, checklists, templates perhaps, and so forth. So any document that you have that is sort of explaining how we should perform our work could then be related to the process. That could also then be different web pages, and in this case that I'm going to show you, it's pretty much all about training. So there we will link in different types of training to the process. Any form or tool or application or system that is used within the process will also be shown here. And also then, just to be extremely clear, to each activity, we also then create this list of tasks. So you can really sort of sign off that you actually have sort of done everything that you need to do within a certain activity. So if we then move over to sort of the other side, and that is sort of creating and publishing the processes, I will give you a little hint about how that can be done. So I said then that we would come back to administrators and process owners, and that is what we're going to do now. And about administrators, these are then the people that are sort of owning the technical solution. So they will work in the administration interface. We won't sort of dive into the administration interface at this point, at least. So I just wanted to show you that this is a sort of an administration portal that is pretty simple to work in. We have now chosen here process management, and you can see that I have a couple of options here. So this is then where I can create and define various types of processes that we have. That could be sort of global processes, local processes. Also then I can here create templates for how I or we want processes to look. I can also create a shapes gallery. So the shapes that we're going to use when we build processes will be available here as well. But having said that, let's move over to the process owners instead. So when you are working with processes here, you are actually doing that within a team of people. So in this case, we are in sort of the SharePoint environment, and this is then a department team site. So this is the team site for the department product development. And as you can see here, we have a menu with some different options. We have a welcome page here with some information. But one of the options in the menu here is processes. So, I mean, in this team site, we have a number of people that are members of the team site. We can then assign some of those people or all of the team the possibility to be able to work with processes. So here we have processes, 2 processes that we are responsible for. And these are now shown in the published tab. So that means that these processes have been published, so they are available for the organization. But what I can do then, if I want to work with the processes and do updates, is to create a draft. And then when I've created a draft, I can open the process and start working with it. So this is the process that we looked at in sort of the previous slides. So you can see here that we have a number of sort of steps in the process that is also mirrored here. And let's say now that I want to create a new process step. So what I can do then is just sort of click here, create a new process step. I can then choose one of the shapes here, or I can search for shapes as well. So in this case, since all the other shapes are this sort of activity shape, I will choose that, and I will create now the process step product handover. So when I've done that, you can see then that, okay, we have now added a new step to the process. That is visible here also then in sort of the process visualization. What you also can see here then is that when we are now at this process step here, product handover, you can also see that besides the drawing, I also have the possibility here to add information, related information to the process. So we will have a look at that in just a little while. But before we do that, let me also just say that besides building the process in the Omnia tool here, step by step, you can also upload images like this one. So you might have images of more sort of complex processes, or in this case, the main process that you perhaps want to sort of have a typical corporate branding of. And then what you can do is sort of draw transparent shapes that will help you with sort of making this into clickable maps or images. So this is just an enlargement of the previous image here. So there you can see sort of me then doing this transparent shape to show that this should be a clickable area leading to another process. So let's talk a little bit about the related information here. So this is information that we create, that we have within our organization, within our solution, and that we want to connect to a process. So first of all, let's look at an instruction document. So in this case, you can see that we are working in Microsoft Teams now. So everything that you see that we do today, you can do that either in SharePoint, in the web interface, or you can do it in Teams and in the Teams client. So again, this is the product development department team. So this is the same team that we looked at in the previous example. So in Teams, I'm sure you are familiar with the tabs navigation here, and you can see that we have the processes over here, and we have here also something called controlled documents. So control documents, these are documents that we have decided that the documents need a controlled life cycle. So that means that we are using approval workflows, that we have a review date, we have a structured management of the different editions, and we keep track of everything that happens to a document. So it's really important, of course, that we have this structured management of documents. So in this case, we are going to create a new document. Sorry, there we go. So there we have creating a new document here. And to do that, when we are working with control documents, we first choose a document type. So the document types that you see here, they have all been defined within our company. And today we are going to create a work instruction. So I can then also select a template that is also then centrally managed. And in this case, we are working on a document called ideation guidelines. You can also see that I have inputted some metadata on the document here. So then we have created the document. We have been working on this document. You can see the content here, of course. So we have been working for a couple of days with this. Typically then in the template, we have the logo up here and also this set document heading that, as you can see on the tokens or strings here, this document header will be populated by the system, and that will occur when at approval of the document. So now we have been working on the document for some time. So we have the document here. We see it in the drafts tab, and on the menu here, you can see that we have two workflows available. The first one is sending the document for comments, and the other one is approving and publishing the document. So regarding the first workflow here, what we do is we invite a couple of colleagues to provide feedback on this new guideline on how to drive ideation. So they will receive a task. They will be notified about this task, and when they have carried out the task and provided their feedback, I, as a document owner, will be notified about that. So when I receive the feedback, I might do some changes in the document, and then I want to send it for approval. So as you can see here, we have an approver, we have an approval due date. I've chosen here to convert the document to PDF. I have also then inserted here people that I want to notify about we now have a new work instruction. And also then I have actually required a read receipt for this document. So then I send it on for approval, and hopefully the approver will say that this document is okay. And in this case, he or she did. So now it's available here. We have the ideation guidelines here, and it's now visible then in the Publish tab. So this also means that this document is now available for the organization, and we will have a look at how we can connect it to a process in just a little while. The next step here then is regarding applications and tools. So also then when it comes to sort of what this might be, this could be any tool or application that you want to provide access to. And in this case, I've chosen something that here is called the Project Center. So the Project Center is just what it sounds like. This is sort of a central place showing all our ongoing projects within the company. You can see we have a couple of tabs up here, and one tab is used to find product documents. So when working in that process regarding how to drive a product development project, it often occurs then that I'm going to do something within the company, within the project, but I want to see how other people have done the same activity in other projects. So then it might be good to try to find documents that has been produced in other projects. So as you can see, here we can find then project documents, and I can start by searching. So I'm searching for sales, the term sales here, and then I can use the refiners here to sort of narrow down the search result. So since we are working with product development, we can choose that refiner, and then we would have 8 documents left. So these documents are probably then tightly related to what I'm going to do. So this application, I think, is appropriate to have displayed related to the process that we are working on. So we're going to have a look at that also in the demo. And then the final example here is regarding training, or more specifically here regarding something called micro courses. So micro courses is just what it sounds like, a small course available within our environment. And in this case, it's available within our learning center. So the learning center has 3 tabs here, as you can see. The first one is learning modules. So here I can navigate all the training that is available within our organization. In the tab upcoming courses, I can see then the dates and the courses that have been scheduled or planned. So this can be online courses, perhaps with Teams, or that can be courses that takes place at a certain venue. So here, of course, I can open up the courses that we see in the list, and I can also then sign up this way. But what's more appropriate to connect to this process is what we call micro courses. So as you can see, we have a number of micro courses here, and we're going to take a look at this one here, envisioning new products. So a micro course is a course that we have created in a number of steps. It's pretty short. This one is calculated to 25 minutes, and I can start then by reading the text here and then sort of going to the next step. We can use images here, of course, to explain how we should be working with envisioning new products, as this course was about. And of course, we can also use videos to explain things that need a little bit more sort of flesh and blood. At the end, when we have reached the 5th step here, we can have this knowledge check just to make sure that people have received the message, so to say. And finally, at the last stage, there's a summary of the training and a possibility for me as an end user to rate the course. So I would say that a micro course is also very relevant to sort of connect to a process, especially then in this case, since this course here is about a certain activity within our process. So what we will look at now is then how to update processes and tie this information to the process. And we're going to do that in a demo. So let's go into the environment. So this is the same environment that we have been looking at. Let me just do like this. So here we have the start page, and what we're going to do now is update the process, and then we will go and have a look at it after we have published it. So now we are process owners, and then we should navigate to this team, this department, the product development team. So this is the same team site that we looked at before. And you can see then that here's the option to work with processes. So here we have the 2 processes that we are responsible for. And this one, develop product, is the one that we will be working with. So let's create a draft and let's open the process for editing. So you recognize this view of the process. We previously created this final step here in the slides. But what we're going to do now is then connect some of the resources that we have to the envisioning phase. So here we have the content, the description of the process. You can also see on the next step then that we have some documents tied to the process. So what we will do now is we will add another document. So then we have this document picker that is looking for documents, in this case in our own team site, but we can use it to search for any document that is a controlled document. So in this case, we created in the slides before the ideation guidelines. So that is the document that we're going to add to the process, and now we see that there. The next step here then is about pages. So what we're going to do here is add that micro course. So in this case, I'm going to collect a page from our training center, and I know it's a micro course. So let's look at the micro courses that we have. And here you can see then the micro course that I showed you, envisioning new products. So there we have now added that page to the process. We are also going to add a link here. So this is a link to a system, and just to save us some time, I have the URL here. So this is the project center, and let's paste it in the project center there. And finally, then I will show you also how to add a task. So in this case, let's just add a task that is prepare and conduct workshop 4. So perhaps we should move that one up to there. So now we have added information to our to this envisioning step here, and what we can do now is I just have to do like that. So what we can do now then is check the process in. So now we are ready. We have done the updates that we wanted to do. and it's time then to publish and approve. So in this case, I can set out who is going to be the responsible approver. I can ask for approval date. I can insert some comment here. There's also a possibility to not publish a new edition of the process, but just a revision of the process. So I think this was edition 14.3 or something like that. So now that I've chosen new revision, that will be 14.4. So just a comment there for our records, and then I have published it. And when I do these revisions, I had the right permissions here to sort of do that without having someone else approving it. So now we have the process here. No, it was 14.2 before, so now it's 14.3. And here is the process. So now this is available for our end users. So let's go back to the start page and navigate to the process and just see that our changes have been displayed there. So you remember now the how we work section here. So let's go to the process center here. So here you can see then I mentioned before we have 3 companies within our group. So we have sort of the group processes here. We have the 3 companies here. So what we are going to navigate into this Alameda Bikes here. But before we do that, let me just show you also then that we have a process directory here. So here we have the same processes available as we have looked at before, but in this case, they are not in a hierarchical structure. So this is of course good for people that just want to navigate to a certain process and don't want to sort of click through the hierarchies. But let's go in here and let's then go into that process the same way as we did before. So here we have the develop product process, and we have been working with the envisioning phase. So if we look then at the related information here, we can see that the ideation guidelines is published here. We can see in the next section then that the micro course envisioning new products is available. We posted this link to the project center, and you remember also we added a task here. So this is the way then to both build and update processes and to publish processes to be available for end users. I have a possibility here to create a short link to the process, add to my processes. So that will sort of give me quick navigation to this favorite process. I also here have the possibility to send feedback to the process owner. So if I, as an end user, think that we could actually do better regarding this process, I can add my feedback here. So let's say that I would like to see an instruction for brainstorming activities. Something like that. So that might be my feedback, and I send it, and that feedback has now been sent to the process owner. So the process owner is being notified about you have received new feedback. So just to show you and connect back then to that feedback post that we just added. If we go back to the team site, and we are now then again process owners, when working with the processes here, we can follow up on feedback posts. So when I receive notifications, I will get a link that will take me to this interface, and we can see then that, okay, we have this feedback, we have received some feedback before here. And what we probably do then is that we decide to either keep the feedback and do something about it, or to sort of postpone or put things on hold here. And one very simple way to work with process improvements is to do that based on a type of Kanban tool. So here you can see we have process improvements, and this is then for the product development team. So what we can see here is that we have this structure of Kanban cards that we can move around. So this post here, update workshop checklist, that was actually then sort of, this is due to feedback that was posted to the process. So when I took a decision that, yeah, this is good feedback, we need to do something about it, I created a new task here. So let's create a new card here. So let's say that we have now this task, update project organization template. So then we can say that, okay, we are going to investigate if this is possible. This activity is in progress. It's about documents, and I will add this to, or assign this to, Anna Karlsson here. So now we have sort of started working on this card, and as this card moves along from investigate to ongoing and so forth, and then we have over here completed tasks as well. So this might be a good way then to sort of handle the process feedback. So having said that, let's go back to the slides again. The demo is finished, and a last slide that I have here is just a brief summary. And I would then just like to connect back to one of the slides from the beginning that showed sort of the purposes, the sort of the goals or targets for this initiative that we have been looking at. So this has been about sort of how to work with defining and implementing processes with a purpose to sort of form a recommended or best way of working to gain competitive edge and have that sort of as the weapon of doing even better next term, next year, next quarter, or sort of just going forward.
And I would like to close this session.